Oh, well, it's Rick's house. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's house.
Hey, y'all, this is Kix Brooks, and you are listening to Rick's House, everything you need to know about home improvement. Here comes Rick.
3, 4. Whoa, whoa, way down south in the rain and the heat. It sure get hot there, you can cook an egg on the concrete. Walking around on the city streets, they go, whoosh, let the big dog eat. Let the big dog eat. Woo-yah! Call the doctor, call the nurse. I don't know what it is, but I know it sure hurts. Call the ambulance and call the cop. Call the number of the man of God. Let the big dog eat.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome into Rick's House radio show live on the road, and we appreciate you joining us on the program. This is our podcast. This is something new that we're doing, and something we're really, really enjoying, and it just allows us a little bit different venue, a little bit different way to do things, and of course that's what we're doing. I know many of y'all are getting out of church, and for those of y'all doing that, we just want to make sure that we have a place that you can listen to. Maybe you're listening to it on your phone, maybe you're listening to it somewhere else, but we're also going to incorporate this. Now, the call-in numbers won't work today, the 865-577-4885. Not working on the podcast. However, you can reach us on our Facebook feeds, and we're live on those right now, and so we would love to hear from you. Also, we're going to open up the Miracle Method message line, which is a little bit different on Sundays. If you want to send us a message, you can do that at 865-407-8720. 865-407-8720 today. That's how you get us on the program. So we'd love to hear from you and know more about what you're doing. And like I said, I'm going to find you wherever we are, and just making sure everything is set up properly and running the way it should. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm excited about it. You know, I love doing Saturday mornings. We've been doing that for a long time. This is our 25th year. I really enjoy doing Saturday mornings. I honestly really, really do. It is, and I have to bounce back between the Facebook pages to see, who's there and who's not there. Many of our sponsors are joining us on this broadcast, which we're excited about because, without them, we don't get to do any of this. And, we've got such great sponsors that you'll hear about them on the commercials. And so what I want to do is I want to encourage you. Sebastian, good morning, my brother. Good to see you, or afternoon, I should say. And then coming up here in the next few weeks, we're going to be doing the podcast from several locations across Knoxville and surrounding areas. And we have, for the podcast, we also have companies that you're going to be hearing about that service other areas. When Amy and I were on the road and we were traveling and all that was happening, we were fortunate to meet lots of folks. Hence the reason we're starting this podcast at 12 noon on Sundays is for all our folks out west who, or in other parts of the country who are 2 or 3 hours behind us. And we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to visit with us. And we want to highlight those sponsors that are out there, like Brian is his security company, and, Steampunk Johnny's Coffee, and and so many more. Some of our sponsors down in Panama City, Keefe and Sons Electric, do a great job down there. We're getting questions asked about whole house generators in Atlanta. And we've got friends there. So, the ideal is to put this thing out where we can help people all over the place. And the other thing that it does is it allows us a little bit more freedom with the things that we want to do as far as making the show just a tad different. And we're getting it. Technology keeps changing on me. Good morning, brother. Good to see you. I'm so used to saying good morning. Y'all been saying it for 24 years. This the 25th year, actually the 24th year, I should say, of Rick's House. And so we've got that. I don't know. I mean, this is not really a Rick's House thing, but it's something that absolutely drives me crazy. And I'm doing a little research on it, and I'm so non-tech savvy that it just becomes an issue for me, and it drives me literally out of my mind. And that's the amount of spam calls that I get on my phone. I mean, are y'all eat up with spam? I mean, is that a thing? I mean, are you eat up with spam? Because we are. I mean, we are literally. I get so many calls, and this new AI business, it absolutely positively runs me out of my mind, because it's just. That's it. I don't see anything positive that's coming from that. No how, no way, no how. I really don't. I just don't see anything positive coming out of it. I think it's dangerous. I think it's something that we're treading on ground that I don't see as a positive. I don't see that as coming across well. That's just me. And you can make it seem like people are saying things and doing things that they're not. And, I don't like it. Now, I have went and, done a couple things. One, I applied to put my name on the National Do Not Call Registry, which will help with a lot of unwanted calls. That's the first move you got, is get on a call registry. It takes about a month to get you on there. The second thing, because if you ask them, they won't take you loose. Even unsubscribing to things that you don't want to be engaged with is not quite the ticket. There's some spam call things there's 3 tools that I looked up and that I'm learning about today. And one is Mr. Number. That's available in your app store and on Google Play. This app can block calls from an entire area code or even a whole country. You can also report spam calls to warn others. AT&T has a Call Protect, a free service for AT&T customers. If you're an AT&T customer, this app has a fraudulent call blocking system that weeds out scammers before the phone even rings. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. Verizon Call Filter. I have Verizon. Last year, Verizon rolled out a service called the Neighborhood Filter for its customers. And it identifies likely scam calls based on the number and area code. Similar phone numbers are blocked from calling you, cutting down on spoofing. iPhones, you can silence unknown callers on your iPhone. I don't know nothing about iPhones. The one that drives me crazy, you can use the same tactic for robocallers as you use for an example. Block them and don't worry about blocking the wrong number. It's easy to unblock someone on an iPhone too. And then it goes into the settings and how you do that and what the procedures are. I found this, and it's something I'll share with you because it's certainly well beyond my forte of what I know how to do. Let me just click this over out of the way. And then you can do it by case basis. But I found this on, let's see, where did I get it at? Found it on the 19th of this month, and it is the sources are Rex Freiberger, managing partner of Gadget Review, Julia Campbell, cybersecurity expert, Jeff Gollick, associate professor of marketing at Carnegie Mellon, University's Tepper School of Business, the Federal Trade Commission, enforcement of the Do Not Call Registry, and Provision Living. Survey reveals how often Americans receive robocalls. I don't have time for that in my day, and I know y'all don't. You're busy, and it's not like I'm somebody important, because I'm not. But I'm just telling you that is something that we are going to absolutely positively see what we can do to get rid of and help the rest of us not have to fool with that. It just runs me crazy. I had a great time on the show yesterday. Went to Baker Boys Pizza. We got done. Lance and I from Busy Bee Plumbing went in, and Justin he's always willing to make an experimental pizza when my brother Lance gets in there with us. And so he tried something new, and it worked out good. Chip Baker, good to see you. Vance, good to see you in there. Same to you, brother. Good Sunday afternoon from the ER cousin. Good to hope everybody's doing good. Excellent. So I have to bounce back between the Rick's House business page and the Rick's House personal page. So I'm back over on the personal page now. But yeah, we had a good show yesterday on Rick's House on Praise 96.3 and here in Knoxville. And so we're really excited about the podcast today. And it just gives us a chance to talk to you and get that stuff out there. And that was the first thing I wanted to reach out to. Like I said, we went to, had pizza at Baker Boy Pizza Company here in Knoxville on Cherry Street. And it was just absolutely fabulous. And like I said, Lance from Busy Bee Plumbing, Jeff's like, all right, what do you want? And he's like, well, I want this. He's like, all right, we got you. And it turned out fantastic. I had my usual one slice of pepperoni, which is huge. But it's all I can eat since the surgery. So we've got that going on. So that being said, we're going to take that first time out to let me make sure I've got everything in order. Vance will be joining us on the program here in about 10 or 15 minutes when he gets situated with what he's done. So we'll have him in there. We've got a lot to talk about today. Hope you'll join us. Hit us with your questions. The Miracle Method message line for today on the podcast is 865-407-8720. That's 865-407-8720. If you want to hit us with a text, we're not taking phone calls today, but we are taking text messages on the Miracle Method message line. We'd love to hear from you. We can take one on the old line. We just hope that doesn't knock us off. So other than that, we're good to go. Looking forward to having you in on the program today. Got a lot to talk about. We're all over the place, and I have spiced up the music for today. Pretty excited about that. I hope you guys will be excited about it too. But let's hit that first time out when we come back. You're listening to Rick's House. Saturday. Oh, not Saturdays. Sunday afternoons after 12. We'll talk to you. We'll be right back, y'all.
To build a strong house, you got to start with a solid foundation. This is Rick's House, the home improvement show.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knoxville Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Popper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxvilleSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Hello, This is Pete with Sanders Plumbing Company. We've been your local trusted plumber since 1989. We're not a franchise or a branch of some huge company from out of town. We're your friends, neighbors, and part of your community. Let us take care of all of your plumbing needs, and we'll treat your home as if it were our own. Sanders Plumbing. Quality service for quality people. Call 922-9175.
Stover's Liquidation knows that the cost of materials to build or remodel a home has gone up, up, up. But our prices are low, low, low at Stover's Liquidation. Great prices every day. Luxury vinyl plank starting at just 69 cents per square foot. Pre-finished hardwood flooring starting at just $129 per square foot. Appliances, 40% less than you pay at the big box store. Just in, beautiful 3/4 by 6 pre-finished hardwood flooring. Several great colors. Get it before it's gone. Come shop us at Antioch, Oak Ridge, or Cookville, or online anytime at stoversliquidation.com. Stovers.
Want the good, the bad, and the ugly of home improvement? You found it. This is Rick's House.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's House.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome back to the program. A little new music from Epidemic Sound. But man, they've got some great stuff on there. I got that for Brian and who likes that kind of thing out there. Hope you're enjoying it. Glad to have you back on the program. Sunday afternoons are going to be something a little bit different with a whole lot of the same stuff. So a little bit different than what we do on Praise 96.3 on Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 each and every week. So we're glad to be here with you. I don't know why that says we've only been on live for 2 minutes. That's weird. Vance, were you able to hear the music during the timeout? We need to double check that and make sure all that happens. Everything looked good on my end, so we'll go from there. I was thinking about things that I've learned over the years by listening to some of the folks that, as I said yesterday on the program, I may not have a 6th grade education, but have the highest PhD that you can have in skills when it comes to home improvement or construction or plumbing or trades or whatever that may be. And that is an important part of what we do in the business. Not everybody's going to use a college degree to do what they do. And, without the folks, the men and women who know how to use their hands, for every field, whether that's mechanics or construction or home improvement or whatever it may be, for all those people, it's really interesting to me that, everybody has their gift. Everybody has their thing. I mean, that's an important part of what we do. So that being said, I think about little tips that I get. I get so much stuff on my feed. That's just crazy. From Family Handyman. I mean, there's just tons of them out there. I've been going so long. They're always sending me stuff, and I go through it. And a lot of the stuff that I tell you I picked up over the years from many other people. If I get it from somewhere else and I can remember where I got it from, I certainly give them credit for it. I'm not the guru of all that. I'm leaning on others throughout the business to make sure that we're giving you the best information that we can possibly give. And that's what we're after. We want to make sure that we're getting that information to you that helps you to do what you can do. Now, that being said, the only way that we do that is by writing it down. And I'm old school, y'all. I'm telling you, I am absolutely old school. I'm looking to help folks any way that I can. And you know, I want to pass that information along. And so I have to write it down. You know, people say, well, did you put that in your phone? No, I haven't graduated to that yet. Honestly, I just literally have not graduated to that yet. It's just not something that I've got comfortable with. And, you know, I'm still old school. I'm still somebody that's using that. I'm still using that write it down in a book, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm still doing that write it down in a book thing. And so, you know, that's what I want to do. That way I get it to you. So I saw a neat idea and I've heard this for a long time and I keep forgetting about it. It's something that I, I remember. Okay. But it's something that I try to keep going but you forget all those things. The other day, Amy wanted me to hang something because it had a picture on the back of it. And I was like, okay, that's not good. I don't know. I need to, get that done. And I couldn't, find something to hang it with. I was looking for wire and I finally found the wire and I got it. And so then I sent it and, I was like, you know what? I remembered you can just take a pop top lid off a soda can and pull that off and run a screw right through the back of it. It makes the best picture hanger you've ever done. If you don't have any of those little jagged ones that you keep, to do that kind of thing, you can take a pop top lid and make that happen. And it works out fantastic. It's just one of those, things that is absolutely awesome. And it's something that you would normally discard, but now it has a different use. I love using stuff. That's repurposed. I like repurpose of the old wood. I like repurposed of the old things. I like everything that you can do that's repurposed. Some things have multiple uses. We talked about taking a standard quart oil plastic can, for lack of a better word, and you can cut that from the top down to the bottom with using the handle that pours for the handle and make a gutter scoop out of it. Or you can clean it real good and use it to scoop other things, soil, potting soil, that kind of stuff. There's so many things out there. Peanut butter jars, I got tons of them when I had my shop. You run a screw through the lid and you put that up there, and then you put your stuff down in it and then screw it up to the lid. Man, you got something going on. It's a great opportunity to use stuff that, doesn't go in a landfill. A large percentage of what we use that's for recycling does not get recycled. And so that's just one of the things that just doesn't happen sometimes. And so, if we can utilize an idea, especially for me, I'm a hoarder and about some things. Now I'm not about, stuff that I shouldn't be, but like, if I get a pack of screws to put something together and there's 2 screws left over, those screws are going into a container. I got a box out in my shed that's got probably 10,000 different screws and nails and fittings and stuff. And when I find that one thing that I'm like, oh no, I need this. You know, I need to have, you know, this happen. Then guess what? Most of the time, I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, I can go out there and dig through that and find the one thing I'm looking, especially if it's something odd or especially that I've had for a while, like a piece off a light fixture or a piece off when you're hanging your TV up, off, you know, off one of those things. All those kinds of things, you know, we keep track of those. Now, the other thing about it is if it's something that you're going to have to move from job to job to job, then you get more into it than it's worth when you could just go to the store and get it. So that's something we'll talk about when we're coming back. We're going to take that second time out. I got to send out some invitations. When we come back, we'll talk more about Rick's house, and we're going to talk more home improvement with you. I got another tip for you. Soda pop tab pictures works good. Be right back, y'all.
To build a strong house, you got to start with a solid foundation. This is Rick's House, the home improvement show.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knox Trail Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Popper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxtrailSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Hello, this is Pete with Sanders Plumbing Company. We've been your local trusted plumber since 1989. We're not a franchise or a branch of some huge company from out of town. We're your friends, neighbors, and part of your community. Let us take care of all of your plumbing needs, and we'll treat your home as if it were our own. Sanders Plumbing, quality service for quality people. Call 922-9175.
Stover's Liquidation knows that the cost of materials to build or remodel a home has gone up, up, up. But our prices are low, low, low at Stover's Liquidation. Great prices every day. Luxury vinyl planks starting at just 69 cents per square foot. Pre-finished hardwood flooring starting at just $129 per square foot. Appliances, 40% less than you pay at the big box store. Just in, beautiful 3/4 by 6 pre-finished hardwood flooring. Several great colors. Get it before it's gone. Come shop us at Antioch, Oak Ridge, or Cookville, or online anytime at StoversLiquidation.com. Stover.
Hey, y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. The difference in experience can make the difference between a good job and a bad one. That's why we choose August Excavation for all your excavation needs. Whether it's pouring a footing, laying out a footing, pouring a concrete driveway, excavating a basement, or whatever your excavation needs may be. August Excavating. Call them today, 423-736-1402. 423-736-1402. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen. For 20 years, my wife and I and our family have been eating at Senor Taco. It's one of our favorite places. If you like seafood, they've got the most fantastic seafood in Knoxville. Not only that, great deals and specials on any type of Mexican food you like. Remember, Senor Taco on Broadway, and they cater too. Go by and see them, have a great meal, and tell them that Rick's House sent you. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's House.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome into the program. Thanks for joining us. Got a lot of things to talk about today. Got some tips, got some things for you. Hopefully Vance will be joining us here shortly, so we'll find out about that if he's able to do so. In the meantime, we're going to continue to talk to you about all the things home improvement wise and some other things that we can going to continue to talk with you. Just telling you about that pull tab picture frame hook by pulling that tab off of the back of a soda pop can or a soda can or a Coke can or Pepsi can or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, we've got that going on. Also, another little tip that I found interesting that came to me with which I thought was really, really, really cool. In all my years of doing home improvement, and Miss Ruby, good to see you this morning. Glad to have you in there with us. I'm going to see if I can find you some Rendicella. I've been looking for it. So we'll see if we can't do that here shortly. I said this morning, but it's not this morning. It's this afternoon. So we'll see what we can do with that. In the meantime, in all my years of doing home improvement and looking for practical things that help people, and as we get ready to go into the wintertime and we see those things that need to be done with weather stripping, and Amy and I were just talking about how we're going to underpin our house and making sure that we've got those things done. And, you know, as we're doing that, I began to think about, you know, for the first time in my whole career in building and home improvement and remodeling, I came across a product that I didn't even know existed, had no idea it existed. The product is called White. It's made by White Lightning. You've heard of White Lightning caulk. That's a product that we use all the time. But this is called White Lightning Season Seal Clear Removable Weather Stripping. Let me say that again. That's a little tough. White Lightning Season Seal Clear Removable Weather Stripping. Now, this is basically, it's a rubbery sealant that you apply with a caulk gun. It's in a caulk tube. Looks just like caulk. And then you can actually, it will adhere through winter, and then you can peel it off in the spring. I have never, ever in my life heard of such a thing. I've been around a long time doing a lot of different stuff and providing, you know, and tips and tricks and things over the years for a long, long time. And I've absolutely never come across this. You know, it's amazing to me how they get the technology to put, something that will adhere during the cold season to the temperatures that we have that go from hot to cold or from warm to cold, or, you know, from cool to cold, or whatever it is. But then yet when it comes to, it stays pliable enough. It's adhesive enough to stick long enough, but it's pliable enough so that in the afternoon it comes and you can pull it loose. That's just something that's just amazing to me. And it's something that, you know, I'll have to dig a little bit more into. And like I said, this is a product that I have never even heard of. And I've been doing this for, 40 years, because I'm 56 and I really started when I was 15. 47 years. And it's the first time I've ever seen that. And I'm sure it's in stores. I just don't know why I've never, you know, nobody's ever told me about it, or I've never run across it or really didn't have a use for it. Just didn't know. So that's one of those things that, we have to take a look at and say, I got to evaluate the products. What I'm telling you, I got to see, but it got good reviews. So I'm assuming that it works. I'm assuming that it's, it does what it says it's supposed to do. Which, hey, it'd be a great product when you've got to adhere something, but you want to remove it and you don't want to damage what you're putting it up to. We had talked last week about the difference between, when you're underpinning an RV or a travel trailer, how you apply that and so that it can be removed. And there's so many different variations in that, from, taping it, and what type of tape you use, and then is it going to leave residue on the trailer itself? And are you going to build a wood frame? Is it going to be there for a long period of time? Is it going to be permanent? Is it not going to be permanent? All those kinds of things make a huge difference, and that's something that we have to pay attention to make sure that we're getting the job done and getting it done right. This may be a game changer for me. I'm going to have to look at it. Didn't look like it was that expensive. But and like I said, it got good reviews. So I'm thinking and hoping and praying that it's something that I can recommend, but until we use it, I can't recommend it to you because I don't know enough about it, to, be able to tell you one way or another if it's good or if it's bad. And so we want to make sure and do that. But if it is, man, that's just something else we can do. I'm seeing people now working their foundation vents and, making sure they're closed up and they're not open. It's that time of year. If you don't have automatic foundation vents, then it's time to do that and make sure that you're checking those. Going to take a short time out. We'll be right back. Got more stuff coming your way. It's Rick's House, Sunday afternoons. Hang on, y'all. We'll be right back with you. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show. Let me tell you, I know a little something about mobility issues. I know a little something about taking care of mom and dad and grandparents and things you do when you're supposed to. That's why I trust Chris and his team at Miracle Method. They've got a safety package. A safety package that converts that tub in your house. But the main thing is it's going to give them an easy step in. It's going to give them grab bars that are added right. It's going to give them the flexibility to have that independence, and you the knowledge of knowing that you've taken care of mom and dad. Miracle Method. Find them online today. Miracle Method. 865-693-5522. For safety is a priority. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knox Trail Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Popper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxtrailSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's House.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us on Rick's House Radio Show live on the road. And this is our Sunday afternoon podcast edition. We appreciate you joining us. Glad to have you there. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. I want to give a shout out to one of the best young men I know, Avery. And we love you, son. Hope you're doing fantastic. Hope everybody's doing well. And we send our best. And it's a fine young man and proud to, he's one of ours. We claim him. We claim him any day of the week. He's a good boy. Well, I say boy, he's not a boy. He's a man now. You know, it's funny as you get old, everybody, you know, I don't want to be, I don't want to say they're boys because they're not boys. Our boys are all young men now. And so we appreciate him, thank the world of him, and enjoyed being part of his life, and was glad to know him and grow up with our boys. And we thank the world of him and his family. Now, before the timeout, we were talking about a bunch of different kinds of things in terms of making sure that we had a situation where you're using the right product and you're using the right thing. And I came across this product that's new to me, but it's not new. And so I was telling you about the White Lightning season sealant, which is good, which is something that sounds great to me. You put it on, you use it, you seal it up for the winter's time. It's a pliable weather stripping type product that comes in a caulk gun. And then in the springtime, you can pull it loose and doesn't leave a bunch of residue and that kind of stuff. So that's something we're going to be talking about. And we also were letting you know it's time to make sure those foundation vents on those cold days are covered. If they're automatic, make sure they're working properly, because it's draft is what gets your pipes. Now, I was watching Ken Weathers on the news. The weatherman here on Channel 6 does a great job. Married to one of my wife's friends from high school, and great folks. Does a great job. Is very accurate. And he made a statement that I did not realize, and so it taught me something. He said that feels like temperature is what it feels like. The way they measure that is that's what it feels like on bare skin. That doesn't have anything to do with freezing pipes or doing those kinds of things or anything else. And that I'd never heard that before. He's a meteorologist. He ought to know. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. Thank you, Ken, for passing that along on the news. And we picked it up and thought it was, pretty neat. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is what gets you in your home, what makes you feel cold. And this is what we have to combat this time of year, as our temperatures here, as well across many places across the country, have dropped substantially. And what we have to combat is we have to combat that 20, 30, 40 degree drop that we're having across the country. And that's something that we're seeing. And that in itself is something that we have to be aware of, because when you get that kind of thing, what happens is that it's draft that makes you feel cold. Draft that makes you feel cold. Draft is also what freezes pipes. It's why right now, if you have your garden hose hooked to the outside faucet on your home, you should immediately go out there and disconnect it, because your hose acts as a vacuum and it will pull that cold air in and through that frost-proof spigot and end up freezing your pipes. Well, when your pipes freeze, the water expands because it becomes a solid. As it becomes ice, it expands, and that creates issues for you. And then it thaws, and it's that freeze thaw process that causes you pipes to bust. And if you've ever had to deal with a busted pipe, then you know that you're dealing with something that is just no fun at all. It's just not a good thing to have. It's not something that you want to deal with. Certainly not something that you want to think about when we're talking about wintertime. Being without water, working on that, that's a hard thing. And so you want to be sure and do that. So today's show is talking about using the right product at the right time. From living in an RV on the road and from seeing so many people that are living in RVs and modular homes and travel trailers and mobile homes and all those kinds of things, one of the things that we've seen, especially when we were in California, we saw a whole lot of people that would take an older mobile home and remodel it into something that was really cool. And I really liked that. I liked the way they would have whole subdivisions. They were very nice. Everything was redone. It looked really cool because I like history. And so we saw all that, and it made for a great application of making something old look new, which I thought was really, really cool. But when you're doing that, one of the things, I had a question one time where a listener asked me, can I paint the board in my travel trailer? Well, that's a 1/4-inch Luan board, or an 1/8-inch Luan board, I should say, that has a very, very thin wallpaper on top of it. So just like anything, you want to make sure that where you have places that are pulled loose, we want to skim those. With what I would do is I would use most likely a joint compound, thin joint compound, and just skim it so it's smooth. Depending on what you're doing, you could also use a rock putty with that, I would think. And that's something I'd need to double check, but that's just what my brain tells me. And then when that happens, the next thing that you want to do is it takes a special kind of primer. You can't just go in and put any primer on these walls. It's just like when you have, and I learned this the hard way. I built a house one time, a speculative home, and actually lived in that home for a little while. And we used pressure treated rails and spindles for the front porch. Well, we primered them and we painted them, but the paint kept peeling loose. And I'm like, well, we primered it, we painted, what's the reason? So I went to probably the best paint store here in Knoxville at that time, and this time now was Granting Paint. It's been around for 100 years. And I said, what's causing this? Because I'm not a painter. And I had my guys do it. So what happened was, is we used that primer, and they said, did you use primer for pressure treated? And I said, I didn't know there was such a thing as primer for pressure treated. And they said, yes. Now think about that. If you ever lay pressure treated lumber out in the sunlight, that lumber, if it's not tied down, it will bend and bow and turn and do all kinds of things. Even when it's on your deck as it's drying out. How many times have you seen horse handrails look like horseshoes? I mean, it'll do it. Well, the reason that happens is they put that chemical in there with the vacuum process that sucks it into. They used to dip it years ago, and with technology, then they pull it in with a vacuum. And I'm not sure how they do it now, but that's typically, I'm sure it's probably the same way, so that it gets into the wood material itself. Now, what you're dealing with is a product that's sparse and dense. Pine is sparse and dense. Part of it's got big open pores. Part of it's got dense pores. It's one of those things. And I see Vance has joined us. Along with Brian. Good to see you out there, Brian. Glad to have you on the program. On the Facebook pages, I'm bouncing back and forth between the two to see who's doing what. But what happens is when that lays out in the sunlight and it gets hot, as the moisture dissipates from the wood, it does that at different evaporation rates. So for instance, if it's going to come out of it's going to soak more up into the sparse grain than it is the dense grain. And so when that happens, it's evaporating at different rates. And that's what causes the board to bend and move and warp and do all those kinds of things. Hence, you have to use a primer that is designed to adhere to that type of pressure treated product and move, because your paint sticks to the primer. It doesn't stick to the wood. Your paint sticks to the primer, your primer sticks to the wood, and that's what allows you to have that going on and have that happening. Now, that being said, I learned that. Brian, good to see you, brother. So that being part of what you have to be aware of. Now, when you're talking about the interior walls that, you know, have wallpaper or those kinds of things, if it's adhered well, you can paint over it. Now, this paper that's on these little thin walls in RVs and travel trailers and all that kind of stuff, it's just very, very thin. And it's stuck on there and it's adhered pretty doggone good. Obviously, you don't want to paint over something that's going to bubble or that kind of stuff. You can test that and see. But Kilz, Kilz, makes the Kilz Adhesion Primer, interior, exterior, 1 gallon. It's a bonding primer, a high adhesion primer that bonds to a wide range of difficult to adhere to surfaces. It's formulated for situations where a secure bond is critical and the use of a traditional water or oil-based primer may be questionable. It increases the possibilities for a paintable surface. So this is what you would use on kitchen cabinet doors, for instance. This is what you would use foam paneling that has paneling period, or paneling that has wallpaper on top of it. You would use this for applications on anything that's tough to primer. Now, here's your difference. Can of this primer, $65.82, $66. But you get what you pay for. We had to go back and we had to strip that handrail and all those spindles, and we did what we could with sanders, but then the rest of it we had to do by hand. And that cost me a lot of money just because it was a mistake that I didn't know. I didn't know why it did it. I didn't know why it wouldn't stick. Now I know, and we don't have that in the future. So knowing what product to use is as important as the painting itself. And the thing about it is that preparation is the key. It's the absolute key. It's what you have to do to make sure that it stays right and you don't have to redo it again. That's something that you do not want to do. You do not want to have to do that again. And the way to do that is through the preparation, proper sanding. If you've got bubbles, if you've got something that's loose, if it's loose and it's just like putting a brand new roof over a bad roof. If there's something underneath that's bad, you got to get to the bottom of it and get it off. That's an important part of what we do. You got to prep your holes. You can use, depending on what you're doing, you can use wood putty. You can use rock hard would be a little hard to do, but you can use wood putty. That'd be fine. Sometimes, depending on what the surface is, we could utilize a joint compound to do that as well. And when we come back, we're going to answer the question. Well, Rick, why in the world why do you have to primer anyway? Well, we know we have to primer because we have to have something that paint sticks to primer sticks to the subsurface of what you're trying to primer. And so that's important. And so when we come back, we're going to tell you another reason why you've got to use primer and why you got to have that preparation. We're going to talk about that coming back. You're listening to Rick's House. It's Sunday afternoon. We're glad to have you. It's the podcast. We'll be right back, y'all.
To build a strong house, you gotta start with a solid foundation. This is Rick's House, the home improvement show.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knox Rail Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Popper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products, You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxvilleSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Hello, this is Pete with Sanders Plumbing Company. We've been your local trusted plumber since 1989. We're not a franchise or a branch of some huge company from out of town. We're your friends, neighbors, and part of your community. Let us take care of all of your plumbing needs, and we'll treat your home as if it were our own. Sanders Plumbing. Quality service for quality people. Call 922-9175.
Stover's Liquidation knows that the cost of materials to build or remodel a home has gone up, up, up. But our prices are low, low, low at Stover's Liquidation. Great prices every day. Luxury vinyl planks starting at just 69 cents per square foot. Pre-finished hardwood flooring starting at just $129 per square foot. Appliances, 40% less than you pay at the big box store. Just in, beautiful 3/4 by 6 pre-finished hardwood flooring. Several great colors. Get it before it's gone. Come shop us in Antioch, Oak Ridge, or Cookville, or online anytime at stoversliquidation.com. Stovers.
Want the good, the bad, and the ugly of home improvement? You found it. This is Rick's House.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690.
To build a strong house, you gotta start with a solid foundation. This is Rick's House, the home improvement show.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's House.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome back to Rick's House. Thanks for joining us on the program. It's the podcast, Sunday afternoons, 12 till whenever we decide to do that. We're going to be doing podcasts from all around the place and taking you and showing you some of our sponsors like Senor Taco and Baker Boy Pizza and Cancun Mexican Restaurant, Knoxville Salvage, and 2 other locations, Old City Kitchens. We did one last week from Cozy Mountain Cabins. So we got that going on. We enjoy it, and we hope that you enjoy it too. It's the music that is provided today is done by Epidemic Sound, who we pay a licensing fee for. Or if you hear a song from an artist, then we have permission to play that song. So that's one of the things that we do. Before the timeout, we were talking about why it's important to use the appropriate primer when you are doing painting. And the thing about that is we want you to know that the reason that we say that is without that, it's not going to adhere. But the other side of that is this. The other side of that is, well, why do we have to do it when we use joint compound over it? Well, the reason that we have to use primer over joint compound is the same reason we have to use it over anything else, wood filler or or epoxy or anything that we're doing, because just like that pressure treated lumber, that paint is going to be absorbed by that primer, by that raw material in such a way that it's going to look different. I had a house one time when I first started building houses, and I told my painters, to take care of it. And I walked in and looked down the hall, and you could just count every screw hole on it where it'd been patched. And I'm like, what's the deal? Did you primer it? No. Well, do you not realize that when the sunlight shines in there, or light shines in there in the hallway, and you do that, you're going to see the difference, because it's going to absorb in the joint compound faster than it absorbs into the wallboard material. So we had to go back and reprimer the whole thing. Once we reprimered the whole thing, then we were ready and able to go over top of that with a paint that would allow it to adhere evenly and soak in evenly. And then once again, the paint adheres to the primer, and the primer adheres to the substrate. Important stuff on Rick's House. That's important stuff about what we do and how we do it, and how you can do it when you're preparing your next project on your house. It's a little tips and tricks that make things easy. And that's the kind of stuff that we want to talk about here. And we want to try to send you that information to help you with whatever you have. Now, you can send me a text today on the Miracle Method message line, and that line's a little bit different today. That number today, if you'd like to text us a message, is 865-407-8720. If you'd like to send us a message on the Miracle Method message line, you can do that at 865-407-8720, and we'll be happy to answer that on the air as we're doing the podcast. That's something this is something additional. We do our show every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 on Praise 96.3 FM here in Knoxville, and we're so tickled to be there, and we love what we do there. This is just something extra that I like to do on Sunday afternoons, because I don't play golf and I don't do things I used to do anymore. But what I like to do is talk home improvement on Sunday afternoons. That's how we make it happen. Vance is heading to the house, so hope it head. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for what you do with us, and we will continue giving the tips and doing those kinds of things. I'm seeing an increase in things that we're doing. And when these first came out, I was in the dollar store one day, or actually I was in Family Dollar. Excuse me, I had a little coffee. That's hitting the spot this morning. But I was in Family Dollar, and I saw these $5 solar lights. And we had just purchased the travel trailer, and it didn't have lights in places that I wanted to have lights for the exterior. It's got a convenience light over on the far side where, your black tank is, your gray tank is, all that kind of stuff. It was there, but I didn't have one outside the front door. I wanted that. And I saw these lights, and they're motion detected. And back then they're $5 or like $8 now, or $10, something like that. I thought, you know what? I'm going to get one of them and try it. And, I ended up getting one of those and trying it, and it worked fantastic. So I ended up going back and getting one for the back where my generator was, so that when I walked back there, if somebody walked around the trailer, if we were boondocking in a Walmart or wherever we may be, the light would come on and startle them. I don't want people, of course, everything we had, and this is something else you got to do. If you put it outside and you make sure it's locked down, because it'll go away. There are people in this world, unfortunately, that will steal and take those things from you. And that's not something that we want you to have to endure. So be sure and do that, because that's part of the process. So, my generator is strapped to my frame with a huge lock and a huge chain, difficult to get to. A lock is really just to keep the honest thieves out anymore, it seems like. But I did it in such a way that I thought it was good. And fortunately, after being on the road for 3 years, we didn't have any problems, never had anything stolen, except for we were in Alabama and somebody stole my sewer line. Can you imagine? During the night, somebody actually disconnected my sewer line and took it. I'm like, well, if you're brave enough to take it, I guess you can have it. So I ended up having to go get a new one. But adding that additional light. So now we've kind of graduated, and I see these lights out there. Harbor Freight's got some good ones that we've had very good success with. We've also ordered some off of Amazon and Temu and other places like that give a really, really good light, and they're able to adjust. And this is just something else to utilize. They're inexpensive, and I find them to be useful and helpful, again, especially if you're boondocking. I put 1, 2, 3. I had 4 of those when we left. And by the time we got back after 3 years, we had to replace 2 of them. Simply because of the wear and tear and the hazards from over the road travel. But other than that, they've done a great job. So it's something that we can recommend. Also, we have a solar light in our pantry. Not a solar light, I shouldn't say that. We have a battery powered. It takes 4D batteries that is in our pantry, because our pantry in our travel trailer is deep. It's about 2 feet deep, and it's about 1.5 to 2 foot wide. And it's got 4 shelves in it, and then the bottom. And so the light, when you open the door, is just not adequate. So we put that in there. And then on the sides, I put the puck lights, so that when we open that up, you can see back in there and see what you got and what you're hauling. All these are little things that we learned along the way. We didn't know until we got out there and tried it. That's the reason that I say all the time on Rick's House, if you're going to travel, and you're going to get on the road, and you're going to do those types of things, one of the things that we recommend is that you go to a place where you close to the house, find a Walmart close to the house, pick up the phone, call the manager, say, look, we're testing out. We want to boondock for a night. Do you allow that in your parking lot? And most of them do. When we were out west, we found several that didn't, but their parking lots are small. And, we were 65 feet long, so we took up a lot of space. There are certain etiquette things, and we'll talk about that. But they'll tell you, go to the far right over toward Garden, and you'll see tractor trailers over there, and that's a place that you can boondock. Or they'll say, go here, go there, whatever. A lot of times we would ask if they had a security guard on staff, and they typically have those towers that are police towers, and a lot of times I just back up underneath that, and he said, that's fine, that's not a problem, you can do that. And so we would do that as well. But be sure and ask, y'all, because there's nothing worse than getting a knock on the door at 2 a.m. going, you got to move. Well, I'm exhausted at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to have to get up and do what you have to do to move. Now, the other things is don't set up like you're camping. They don't want you to set up like you're camping. Don't put chairs out. Don't put cornhole out. Don't, do all those kinds of things. They don't want anything outside. You need to do is the minimal that you can. If you don't have to run out your slides, don't. If you do have to run out your slides, in our situation, we did. I would always park where one side of my travel trailer has 2 slides and the other side has 1. So I would always park up against the curb so that the side with 2 slide outs would slide out over the grass and be out of the way, so that we're not hindering, other folks. And the other thing is I always made sure, and I would back all the way up so that when I was filling the generator was away from everyone else. So, and our generator is super quiet. We bought it at Northern, and I highly recommend them, but it's absolutely super quiet. And so we would always make sure that it was back away as far as it could be from anybody else. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else in there, and we never got a complaint about our generator. Literally, you could walk away from it. You get 10 feet away from it, you can't even hear it running. Now, it's a power horse generator from Northern. The thing never had to do anything but change the oil and maintain it the whole trip. And on the way home, we were about 2 days from home, and I had a switch go bad. That honestly I haven't changed because I don't need it where I'm at right now. But going into wintertime, we're going to go ahead and repair that. But that's just a minor thing that we're going to do. And please, if you're going to do gas, make sure that you're using that gas regularly. If not, put a gas stabilizer in there to make sure, because if you get water built up in that tank and that gets into your carburetor, then it's not going to run right and you're going to have all kinds of problems. So that's an issue. One of the things that I didn't do, and it's time for that next time out, but when we come back from this next time out, and you hear about some of those folks that bring you this program, I want to share with you something that I didn't do. And if I had to do it over again, I would absolutely do it. This is not something necessarily you have to do with an RV, but it's absolutely something that you have to do with your travel trailer. And so it's something that I'm going to share with you. I think it's really good advice, and let's hang on just a minute. Let's get that done. I want you to hear about the safety package from Miracle Method and a few other those folks that bring you the program. We'll be right back. It's Rick's House, Sunday afternoons. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show. Let me tell you, I know a little something about mobility issues. I know a little something about taking care of mom and dad and grandparents and things you do when you're supposed to. That's why I trust Chris and his team at Miracle Method. They've got a safety package. A safety package that converts that tub in your house. But the main thing is it's going to give them an easy step in. It's going to give them grab bars that are added right. It's going to give them the flexibility to have that independence and you the knowledge of knowing that you've taken care of mom and dad. Miracle Method. Find them online today. Miracle Method. 865-693-5522, where safety is a priority. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690. Now listen, if you've not been to Baker Boys, have y'all tried Baker Boys pizza yet? Oh my good gracious. Let me tell you something. It's on Cherry Street. If you get off on Cherry Street, turn toward Magnolia, and you'll see Baker Boys down there on the right. He's got a 30-inch pie, like not even got in my van and got the door closed. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, a slice of pizza feed 10 kids. Baker Boys Pizza is the place. I'm telling y'all, go by and see them and tell them that we sent you, and they're going to take care of you. They're going to be proud to see you, and they're going to be glad to feed you and your family. Great place for after church on Sundays. Go by and see the team at Baker Boys Pizza and tell them that Rick's House sent you. Hey, y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. The difference in experience can make the difference between a good job and a bad one. That's why we choose August Excavation for all your excavation needs. Whether it's pouring a footing, laying out a footing, pouring a concrete driveway, excavating a basement, or whatever your excavation needs may be. August Excavating. Call them today, 423-736-1402. 423-736-1402. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen. For 20 years, my wife and I and our family have been eating at Senior Taco. It's one of our favorite places. If you like seafood, they've got the most fantastic seafood in Knoxville. Not only that, great deals and specials on any type of Mexican food you like. Remember, Senior Taco on Broadway, and they cater too. Go by and see them, have a great meal, and tell them that Rick's House sent you.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's House.
Good Sunday afternoon to you. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us on Rick's House, our Sunday afternoon podcast, something we do for fun and hopefully give you some information that you need that helps you along the way. We've been talking about a lot of things today. We gave you some tips and that kind of stuff. And now we're kind of talking about boondocking and some of those kinds of things. And, you know, I was thinking last night and over the course of the week about things that I had wished that I had done that I didn't do when I was preparing to travel. And we get a lot of people that ask us about traveling and, you know, how do you know what to do, when to do, how to do it, all that kind of stuff. And really and truly, some of those things, I mean, I prepped for about a year, almost two, you know, preparing to do that. And it's one of those things that, you know, I got most of the things, but there were still a lot of things that I missed. And so after you get out on the road, you know, you think about those things. And so I want to share them with you. So that way you can be prepared. As we had just said just a few moments ago, that the first thing I want you to know is that you got to, you know, make sure that you test yourself out and about at a Walmart near you or a Cabela's or something of that nature, close to your house, so that if something does go wrong, you can pile up and go to the house. You're not far away. You don't want that experience to happen when you're out on the road and you have no place to go. That can be a huge problem, and that's something that we want to make sure that you're aware of and that you can do and be prepared for. That being said, the next thing I wanted to talk about was generators. Now, we talked about the generator that I chose, and it was a 3,500 watt power horse. And, you know, it was got a great deal on it. It has been a workhorse. We've been really happy with it. It's not the only brand out there, but the happiness I have with it come from two things. One is how long it's lasted and how well it's worked without having to do anything but regular service. That has been the ticket for me. You find those at Northern Tool. That's where we get them. I don't know where they might be outside in other parts of the country, but for us, that's where we found it. The only issue that I wish I had done, and you know, I just didn't do it. And if I had to do it over, I would have done it, but I was concerned about, my fuel getting, you know, stolen. So what I did is I had fuel in gas cans on the back of my travel trailer stored away out in the open in approved cans. And then we would fill those. And that did two things for me. One, it allowed us to, if we needed to stop, we could fire up the generator and run the slides out, which the slides run out. You don't have to have the generator to do that. They'll run out when the travel trailer is hooked up to the truck or whatever you're pulling it with. It has power. We also have a 50 watt solar panel up on the roof of our travel trailer, which basically is a trickle charger. That's what it does. It helps to maintain our 2 deep cycle marine batteries that will allow us to run. If power went off during the night, you know, I couldn't run anything on AC. But all my DC stuff would work. My refrigerator still works. All my lights that are DC LEDs, they all work. My phone chargers still work. All that kind of stuff works until I can get outside and do what I need to do. The biggest issue I had is my generator holds 2.5 gallons. And I figured out that when I was running it at night, because I had to run my CPAP machine to sleep, and then we're running TV. We're running the TV, and typically we'll fall asleep with that. That's on. That's just a habit that we have, and I think the dogs and the cats have gotten used to it too. But when we did that, and we were doing that at night, I figured out that if I filled it up when we got ready, you know, typically I would fill it up when we got stopped. I would go back out and fill it up, usually around 8 o'clock. Wherever we were at. Now I'm going to get 11 hours out of my particular generator based on the load that it's using. Now that's not counting using water heater. If you're going to try to take a shower, that kind of stuff, that's a different beast. However, but just running the basics, and if we were in the if we were in a place where we need to run the air, we could do that off our generator and run a television. And then, you know, in the meantime, the trickle charger had the batteries to back up the DC stuff. And, you know, so that 11 hours might get cut down to about 8. If you're running one air conditioner. So our thoughts were, we didn't try to cool the whole trailer. We have secondary air conditioning that we utilized that was inside, that we would just, you know, use that to knock the heat down. We're not going to be uncomfortable. That just ain't going to happen. So typically I would set my clock for about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I would get up and go outside and check the fuel. And if it was getting low, of course, I would cut it off, and you have to let it cool down for a little bit. And then you have, which typically doesn't take too long. And then I would fill that up. I had Harbor Freight makes an electric pump. They're about $10 or $12 now. They were about like $8 back then. A transfer pump that runs on 1D battery, and you go ahead and buy 4 or 5 of them, because they're not super great quality, but they do last pretty good. And I had that back there, and I would transfer fuel out of that and fill my tank back up. Then that way I'm good to go, because you don't ever want your generator to run out of fuel. Does it hurt it? The answer is it can. It can hurt it if it runs out of fuel. But most of the time, no. The couple times it's happened to me, it didn't, but it can cause a problem with the magnets in the generator and cause you a whole service issue. So it's just best not to let that happen. The other thing to that is they make an alternative tank that I could have purchased. Northern sells them along with the generators. A lot of places sell them. They're on Amazon, where you can add up to, I think, add it up to another 2.5 to 5 gallons of fuel, and it would automatically, as it was siphoning down, it would automatically push that over and keep that running. If I had to do it again and I was going back on the road again, I would do that. Because, you know, I feel like, you know, you got to get up, you got to go outside. It did let me kind of do a safety check, look around, make sure there wasn't something suspicious or somebody around us suspicious, that kind of thing, which was good. But it also meant I had to get up, and depending on what the weather was, and put my shoes on and go out there and do that, which wakes you up. Then you got to try to go back to sleep and all that stuff. If I had to do it over again, I'd add the extra tank. You know, they're about $200, and I should have done that. We just didn't. We got it down to a science, and it worked. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done that. And that's something I would add in. Now, if you have a RV, typically your generator is built into your RV and runs off the fuel tank that your RV runs off of. So that's a non-issue. As long as you've got a full tank of gas, you're good to go. By carrying the extra gas, we've had a time or two, whereas even though you plan as well as you can plan, we didn't know that we were going to get into a position where we might run out of fuel. And so having that extra 20 to 30 gallons of fuel was always nice to know that we could go another 200 miles, you know, or 300 miles, depending on what it was. And, you know, if you're getting 8 to 10 miles to the gallon, you're not going that far, but it may be enough to get you to the next gas station. So, but the other side of that is you're carrying a bunch of fuel. Once again, we had those tanks locked down where they could have come and took the lid off of it and siphoned it. And, you know, we probably wouldn't have known. Nobody did that. The other thing I would do is I would put a locking cap on my generator, because people will just do stuff for maintenance nowadays. And that's just the kind of thing that, you know, in this day and time, I really feel like it's advantageous to add that stuff and to make sure that you've got it covered. That being said, that's part of what you do I think it's better to be proactive than not proactive. Next week's show, we're going to do a little talking about a couple other things as I've got somewhere to be this afternoon. So we're going to tighten it back up here as we've had a good show this afternoon. I appreciate that. We're going to talk about safety, and we're going to talk about non-lethal and what you can do and what you can't do, what you can have with you, and the things that you can do with that. Miss Ruby, I did not get to play that for you. I apologize. I am looking for it, but I can't seem to find it. So I'm going to have to do a little more. I thought I had it handy, but I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging. We thank you for joining us on Sundays. Let us know. You can find us at rickshouseradio@gmail.com. You can send me an email. You can go to the website at rickshouseradio.com. You can find us there as we continue to perfect what we're doing here so that we can get out and get on the road and do those things on Sunday. Always join us on Saturdays. If you're out of town, you can join us on the Facebook pages here, or you can go to the 96.3 FM app and listen there as well. But here you can see the video and join us, and Vance will be there with us and so many of the others, and you can see the guests that we'll have. I hope the information that I gave you today has been helpful. We appreciate everything that you do for us, and we're so thankful that you take time out of your day, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, to spend time with us. It's Rick's House, Sunday afternoon podcast. God bless you. We appreciate you listening. We'll send you home with this one.